design and have...
Very cool tool.
Who needs a game anymore when you just have photo booth mode?
Yeah.
It's 2017. Some small indie game called Warframe just released their 20th update, Octavia's Anthem. It added a new music-themed Warframe and signature weapons, a mainline story quest, new cosmetics, game tweaks, and so on. But let's talk about the update's biggest feature, Captura. What is Captura?
So Captura is an in-game photography mode for Warframe that lets you load into certain instances of the game with no enemies or missions to do. It's literally just the game environment. And you'll have different ones that you can collect and load into at will. And you pretty much get to do whatever you want in there. You can set up cameras, you can set up light sources, manipulate them to compose pictures or video. It's extremely freeform. You can do almost anything you want in there. It's something I like to compare to studio photography compared to other games' photo modes, which are more like, I guess, street photography, where you walk around and things are happening and you want to capture moments like that. Whereas in Warframe Captura, you kind of have to create your own moments. It's pretty unique like that. You just have so much freedom in the game itself, and Captura is mostly an extension of that. So I like to use Captura as a way to tell my own stories, kind of separated from Warframe's story itself. Something that I like to do is tell kind of harrowing tales of this one character who looks kind of like an evil robot who's malfunctioning. She'll have kind of darker colors and bright red energy effects going on. So she looks like she's a robot that's kind of broken from the matrix that contains her. So I'll decide kind of what I want her to be doing. Maybe I want her to be kind of fraying at her at the mind. Like maybe I want her to be going a little bit insane. So now I have the subject, I have the subject matter, and I have kind of the action that I'm going to have her be doing. So from there, I need to choose a scene for her to exist in. She's an evil robot, so I'm going to kind of have her be inside of a kind of a dark laboratory. And there are a bunch of different scenes I could choose from for that, so I'll pick one of those. In Warframe, you can give poses to your subjects, and they'll do different animations that are on a set loop. So you can watch the character do that motion, and you can slow down time or accelerate time and capture the exact pose you want. So it's a lot of knowing what poses you want to use to get those specific actions. So the learning curve is pretty steep, but I've been doing this for so long that I can kind of know exactly what animation to slap onto the subject to get them to do the pose that I want. So once I figure that out and I watch them do poses for a really long time, eventually I'll get a pose and an angle that I like. Then I will manipulate the throughway light setup that the Captura mode lets you use, and I will light the subject in a way that makes them pop out of the background or kind of evokes the feeling that I'm trying to go for. And then I'll take a bunch of different pictures, maybe from different angles, and then I will go into the editing room. I will crack open Photoshop and I'll figure out what kind of editing I want to do to complete the picture. I'll do some color edits, I'll maybe remove some distracting background elements, and then I'll kind of just let it sit overnight, and I'll just return to it and see what else I can touch up. And yeah, then I'll leave it alone. I'll call it done. So that's pretty much my process. I think it's a little bit more involved than what a lot of people care to bother doing with something like this, but it's pretty rewarding for me personally, and I guess at the end of the day, that is all that really matters for the artist.
Warframe is a giant game, and naturally, with such a large landscape and gameplay loops, you develop communities for each niche. From Eidolon hunting to min-max builders, there's room for any interest, for any player, and the Captura community is no exception.
If I had to describe the Captura community in one word, I would say it's theatric. But overall, I've had positive experiences in the community. There's people in it that are willing to give constructive criticism and help out those that will hear it. When first joining the community, there's a lowdown of basic settings in-game to help you with camera work. I've made a lot of really good friends in the community, friendships that have not only been helpful in the field of Captura, but ones that go beyond this topic. Doing Captura and being a part of the community has brought some great positives for me, such as socialization, inspiration, motivation, humor, learning photography techniques, and having a creative outlet. I also took part in judging contests hosted by Purple Flurp. These were done with a tournament style. Each entrant was allowed one submission, and there were restrictions to editing, keeping it to a minimum of color and lighting values. The first round of the tournament bracket was randomized, with which two submissions were against each other. The winner of each matchup was selected via majority vote between the panel of judges. First, second, and third place were given a prize of Warframe's premium currency. For judging these contests, the artists were kept anonymous, so the only thing speaking to the judges would be the Captura itself. I judged with technicalities in mind, as well as tone, mood, creativity, and does it tell a story? With it being an image from a video game, it can be difficult to bring emotion or life to the characters and tone. Shots that made the featured subjects look alive were the ones I was most drawn to. Difficulty in judging came about in trying to find that balance of taking into account all the important traits of art and photography, technicalities, but also the doesn't make me feel something looking at it aspect.
At its core gameplay loop, Warframe is about speed. You do missions fast, you kill fast, particles are everywhere, and it is utter chaos. Yet, Captura reminds us to slow down, to appreciate the artistry, putting a magnifying glass to every detail that the developer and artist have cared to put into the game. Photography is the art of capturing time, and virtual photography, Captura, is being able to capture the collective efforts of people. You can capture that interaction between the developer and your mind. Someone had to sculpt that model or code that lighting engine, yet it is the job of a virtual photographer to find the most beautiful way to frame this collaboration. You, the player, the artist, are given the ability to pull others in, to your fashion, to your story. Embed a universe that just also happens to exist alongside Warframes. Fashion, environments, details, story, love. There is so much to tell and so much to share. Captura, an invitation to explore the artistry that lies within every frame of the game, a love letter to both the craftsmanship of the developers and the imagination of a community.